Welcome back to Water Park Rangers Let's Play Kingdom Hearts. In the last episode, we retrieved the remaining ingredients for the Doctor's Heart. The Doctor whose name I can't remember, so if anyone feels like looking up that Doctor's name, go ahead and look it up. I'm pretty sure it's something that has to do as like a pun on a brain or something like that. Oh yeah, I loved that shot right there. That's just so cool. That's so imaginative, just like this crazy walking bathtub going over, like walking past the silhouette of the moon. That's so cool. Actually, that almost seems Mother 3-ish to me, because there's some weird, like the coffee table scene in Mother 3. Mother 3 is just so good. I'm always going to recommend that more than just about anything, that Mother 3 is a game that you have to play. It's just, to play and finish, those are the key words. It is so good. Anyway, we just dispatched a couple of gargoyles. They tend to leave behind magic orbs upon their defeat. They're these purple flying heartless that actually have an astounding amount of HP and are therefore one of the more annoying opponents we've met thus far. They do a fair amount of damage. I think their attacks may be homing. Because they tend to fly around, they're a bit tougher to hit as well. They're not the worst. They're a bit more aggravating on Expert, just like about every other enemy you meet. And I'm trying to think if there's any other specifics you need to know about them. Mostly just that I prefer to hit them with magic on most occasions. Despite being a melee person, typically when you're fighting gargoyles, you're going to fight them in high up locations, which means that it's going to be very dangerous for you to try and jump to them, because you might die as a result. That's kind of a thing that you have to remember, because later on, especially in the second half of the game, you're going to be fighting enemies in higher places more often, meaning there's a chance that you could fall and have to backtrack, which is aggravating. And this is probably something that I'm going to forget myself, because I'm kind of bad at taking my own goddamn advice sometimes. Alright, and once you've cleared out enough Heartless to activate something, go check this tombstone right here to make the hill unfold. That's really weird, and I don't know how they ever expected you to know that. But the fact is, I know how, so you don't have to worry. Now I'm going to cut ahead, because the next part's going to have a lot of fighting. That was just way too many Heartless, I have to say. Way too many Heartless in this one small area. And it would have taken forever just to clear them all out, so I sped it up. I think I might have mentioned earlier that I was going to cut it out, but there's something fun about speeding stuff up for me. It's good for me to practice in my video editing cred. That way I can do more complicated things later on. Honestly, sometimes I wonder like how much longer I'm going to be able to do LPs, and then I think, you know, as long as there's like a game that I want to LP, I'll do an LP of it. Simple as that. And as long as I'm playing new games, chances are there's something that I can come across, so I may very well be making these for a long time. Who knows? Anyway, there are treasures across the moats here. Just hop over to them using the small platforms. Even with your high jump, they're pretty difficult to get to. This one has Dalmatians. I think another one over this way has something a little bit more valuable, but it's also much harder to jump to. Some people might recommend you coming back here later after you have a more advanced jumping technique. As for me, I'll just cut ahead until we make it there. Oh, we made it! That was so tough to pull off. As you might have noticed, what I try and do is to extend my jump just by a little bit further. I swing the Keyblade at the end of the jump to send Sora just moving a little bit further in that direction that I jumped. This is actually a generally good rule of thumb for most, or I should say a good many platformers. A great many platformers that I've played, at the end of your double jump or your best jump or whatever, typically doing an attack in the air will actually move you a little bit more forwards to your desired destination. Unless, of course, it's the kind of move that sends you plummeting straight down. Even then, in Wind Waker, I found that if you do a jump attack at the end of your fall, you will move forwards just a little bit. So, even then, it's just kind of like this unspoken rule of strange video game physics.
I knew Oogie Boogie was
Of course! He's the only villain in your world, Jack. He has to be the villain behind this. So this is the place I was talking about earlier when I said one of the biggest, like, loaded areas in all of Kingdom Hearts, if not the biggest, is Oogie's Manor, this treehouse. It's just simply put one of the coolest areas in the entire series. Maybe potentially the coolest. The problem with it is that it's also got that condition, like a lot of really awesome areas in games, where after you complete it, you won't be able to go back. This is just a spoiler, so you have to enjoy this place while it lasts. One thing you also have to do while it lasts is make sure that you're not being an idiot and falling off the cliffs by jumping after the Gargoyle Heartless, there are just plenty of Gargoyle Heartless here. A bit too many, if I do say so myself. I don't know, normally I'm not one to complain about too many enemies, so I'm not gonna. Typically, the problem I have with a lot of games is I don't think there's enough enemies. That's actually a complaint that I heard about Skyward Sword, and I've heard different things about it, and mostly nothing but good stuff. One of the problems I've heard about Skyward Sword is that the fact that despite so much amazing combat potential, there are not that many scenarios in which you actually get to fight a lot of enemies. And this is a problem that I've generally had with a lot of the Zelda series. I love the emphasis that they put on puzzles, but I feel like on some front they could have done more with the combat and integrated it more wholly into the world. Like in Wind Waker, where in the Savage Labyrinth, it's shown that you can fight hordes of enemies just like constantly, without hardly any slowdown except under very specific circumstances, like say 50 Miniblin, or yeah, something crazy like that, or like 25 Bokoblins. They should have just generally had more enemies, so I guess I shouldn't be complaining about a game that has too many, because that's really the kind of thing that I'm looking for in a game. A whole lot of opponents that hand all their asses to them at once. Oh, White Knights, of course, are here as well. They're quite dangerous, even though you don't have to jump, so I recommend kind of laying low while you clear them out of the way. Some people might even recommend not dealing with the enemies on Oogie's Manor and just rushing to the top. For the record, if you do fall off Oogie's Manor, it's not the end. On the ground floor around the treehouse, there are a lot of White Knights, for one thing, so if you want to grind, that's a good place to grind, just to get some good EXP. But at the same time, what I have to say is, it's annoying because you have to clear the Heartless out from around the base of the treehouse, because there's that walking bathtub from earlier is going to be strutting around the base of the treehouse. And just like the dolphin from Atlantica, in order to climb into it or board it, you have to have cleared out enemies around it in order to get onto it. So if you get onto the bathtub, it'll just kick you back up to the top of the treehouse. No problem at all. So that's the way that works. Of course, if you also want to leave the treehouse area for whatever reason, you can just jump off. You're not going to take any damage from falling. That's not a thing. That's not even a thing in this game. Like, you can't take damage from falling. And at the base of the treehouse, you have to go to the river and walk through where the river's running, and it'll take you back to Guillotine Square, I think, out of that green fountain in the center of town. Kind of weird, but whatever. I guess work points work, so eh. And like I said, fire spells are the best for... Oh crap, we're out of magic, so better time. Pizza time! That's really the only thing that I like about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Otherwise, I don't even know what to say about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're turtles, and they're bros, and apparently they're ninjas and they're teenage. And wow, for once, a Heartless that doesn't spawn out of the darkness and is actually just sitting there on the field. How often does it happen? Not often at all. I think Halloween Town might be one of the only places where that's a thing. And I have a phone, so I have to get that. Hold on. Alright, now it was taken care of, no big deal. And anyway, we are now getting very close to the top of the treehouse, so not falling is a priority. It is a priority to very much remain on the top of the treehouse, heading through that door. But I am going to clear out these last few Oh, crap! Oh, never mind. I was like, oh god, no! We had come so far. Oh god, what's that song? We got so far, tried so hard, but in the end, it didn't even matter. Oh, did the White Knight just jump off the cliff?
Fire!
Thank you. What can I say? When you go in that door, you're gonna come up against this sort of mini boss thingy. So be prepared. We're gonna fight them next episode. See you then.